Good day. It is Tuesday. Hello, hello. It's also my dad's birthday. Happy birthday, Dad. Already FaceTimed with him this morning. So that was cool. Just setting it up so I can see your comments. There we go. How's everyone doing? Another day. I think we're in Groundhog Day. Are we in Groundhog Day? Guys. Oh my word. Groundhog Day. Welcome, welcome. Glad to have you. Anything happen in the last 24 hours? Anything you guys want to share? Glad to have you. I can hear my husband on a call. He's working from home. Let me just go shut the door. So some of you saw, hey Sue, 2 days in a row. Some of you saw my crazy Instagram live yesterday. Oh, I've lost the plot, you guys. I've lost the plot. I won't explain anything else, but if you want to see the crazy Instagram live, it's probably up for another few hours. Instagram lives disappear. It's in my stories. It'll disappear and it disappears after 24 hours, which is why I do this on the Facebook platform, because then I can download. Okay, Lori, you watched the Tiger King. Isn't that shocking? The only thing is I wanted more episodes. Hi, Alan. So awesome to have you guys on this Tuesday and for sticking through the daily demos with me. Hope I don't want to overstay my welcome, but I'm glad that you're joining me. I'm also glad that you are supporting your stores and ordering Ranger products, which is awesome. It'll keep us going through this Groundhog Day. So this is one of the demos from yesterday. I glued it in this is actually my Show Us Your Media gratitude journal. And remember, a new Show Us Your Media comes out tomorrow. And so you have the rest of today to finish your last month's prompt. Last month's prompt was, I'm grateful for adventure. Okay, so tomorrow, anyway, this is not tomorrow's, but I liked that face and I liked the way it looked on the background. And I did spray it with a little bit of varnish because there was a lot of scribble stick on top of that face. So, all right, today's subject is color tips. A lot of people are confused about color. When I first started traveling and teaching in 2007, one of the things that I noticed in class that if people were unhappy with their artwork, they were usually boiled down to one or both of two different subjects. One subject is composition, and we've talked a little bit about that. Remember, we talked about that in the critique video, avoiding a collage sneeze, okay? So composition is super important for, again, if you're unhappy with your art, sometimes it's composition. And the other thing that it boiled down to a lot of the times was color. And the great thing about composition and color is that both of these subjects you can improve on by learning and by practice. And because I'm this right-brained artist, I don't want this complicated color theory. I want a simplified color theory. But the bottom line, there's no escaping color theory. It will be in play no matter what you use. It just is what it is. So if you guys want to pop in the comments what you struggle with color, I can try to address those as well. So the first book that I wrote, the Art Journaling Freedom book, I'll show it to you. Okay, you're gonna laugh at me because I only have a Chinese copy. My book got translated into simplified Chinese, so I only have Chinese. But this book, the book with the yellow cover and the bird on the front, this book is all about composition and color. So the first part of the book gives you composition lessons and different techniques to try. And then the second part of the book gives you color lessons, okay? So that's what my entire first book is about. And this is still available, I believe. Like I mentioned before, Penguin House did purchase the book business from the bankrupt F&W. So hoping this book is still in print. I haven't heard that it isn't. So anywho. So yeah, this is what you can't tell, because I don't have an English copy, is it's called Art Journal Freedom. And it's by me, Dina Wakely. And I guess down there, that's my name in Chinese. So there you go. Oops. Also, on the Ranger, it's called Art Journal Freedom. It's my very first book. I do not read Chinese. I just know what my book is called. So, and I don't have a Chinese copy, or I don't have an English copy. About the time I was going to order another case of my books, F&W went bankrupt, and then I was getting creditor notices because I'm owed money by F&W. Amazon is not new, or this book is not new. I wrote it before I joined Ranger, so it's been out for a long time. And that book was born out of my teaching of realizing where people struggle and watching people struggle. And listen, if you make your art and you like it the way it is, great. You don't have to do a dang thing. But if you do something and think, oh, what am I missing, or why don't I like it? It very often comes down to color and composition. Very often. So color. Color theory can be really complicated. My brother went to art school. Color classes in art school can be a semester long. A semester, people. So, in a short tip and trick video, you're not going to master color, but it's definitely worth learning about and practicing. And it can be really complicated. I've bought some books on color theory that I've just been like, okay, yeah, never mind. But the bottom line is that the most common method for displaying color is the color wheel. And there are other methods, but this is the most common. And colors that are next to each other, we're going to call them neighbors. Okay, so blue and purple, blue, violet, and purple, they are next to each other on the color wheel. And they're neighbors, and the term for that is analogous. And so that means, this is you, and this is your next door neighbor, and this is the person next, just down the road, just a tad. Colors that are far away from you, so if you're blue, if you go all the way around, if you jump these pie wedges around to the opposite side, that is called a complementary color. Not complementary with an I, complementary with an E. And these colors that are far apart are not neighbors, right? They're in a different city. But we like the way they look. Our brains actually crave opposites. So if you have something blue, our brain is craving a little bit of that contrast. And my most used color schemes deal with opposites, deal with different countries on the color wheel. But the thing is when you mix opposites in the same wet layer, that's when you get a big muddy icky poop brown. And you don't get pretty Tim Holtz vintage photo brown. You get like, ooh, it just turns muddy and kind of grayish, and it's just not the best. It's not a great brown. Okay. And I have nothing against brown. Brown is my mother's favorite color. Brown is a color. But if you don't intend to make it when you're working, that's just a big bummer, right? So the best thing that you can do for your art, and I say this all the time, is to memorize your color wheel. You just got to memorize it. So if I tell you what is the opposite of blue, you instantly know orange. If I tell you or ask you what is the opposite of purple, on this color wheel it's called violet, you can say yellow. You know exactly what the opposite is. Here's the other kicker. So blue and orange, which happen to be my favorite color combination, by the way, Blue and orange are opposite on the color wheel. So when you use them together in the same wet layer, you're going to get mud, right? However, I can hear, okay, what's really weird is I can hear like a radio, so I'm not sure where that's coming from. However, even you also have mud making potential when you mix blue with the neighbors next to the orange, okay? So what I like to tell people is anytime you're jumping more than 3 or 4 pie wedges away, you're getting into danger Will Robinson mud territory, okay? So how I like to get around this is I like to create neighbory backgrounds, analogous backgrounds, backgrounds with these 3 colors, backgrounds with these 3 colors. And then when I want to, I layer in or wait till the layers are dry or do a different method to get my opposite in, okay? So that's kind of my general color theory, and we'll put it into, and I don't know if that made any sense to you, but basically I start with neighbors and then I add a contrast from the other side, trying hard not to make brown, okay? So again, I'll repeat that. You start with neighbors and then you come back to this side to add interest and pop. So also on the Ranger website, and this is recently updated thanks to the gals in the art department, go to rangerinc.com, scroll all the way down to the bottom. There'll be a heading at the bottom in the menu at the very bottom that says Organize Your Ranger Products. Click on that. That might be the best thing you discovered today if you have not been to that link, because all of the Ranger brands are represented, and there are color charts you can print out for swatching. There are all kinds of different tools, labels, all kinds of stuff that you can print, okay? So scroll down to the Dina Wakely category and click on the tubes of paint. I need them to put the bottles of paint there, not the tubes, because the tubes are kaput, but click on that, or if you'll notice that category with the paint, what you're going to see is a couple of PDFs that you can download. You can download a color chart that you can then go ahead and swatch out your colors. And then you can download something called Color Confidence. And that is a many-page handout. It's in a PDF. And you can print it out, but if you don't have a color printer or you don't want to print it, just download it to your phone or your tablet or your computer, and you can look at it on the screen. And what I tried to do is put my paint colors in approximate color wheel order. Now, keeping in mind that not every color is represented equally. I mean, I have a huge amount of blues in my line, not a lot of greens. So, just keeping that in mind. It's not as specific as this, but it does give you, the user, an idea of where the colors may fall in general, okay? So also people say to me all the time, well, where does umber go? Well, umber's a neutral, so because that's a brown, okay? Browns, blacks, grays, tans, whites, creams, those are neutrals. So those are not in the wheel. And technically this isn't even quite correct, because let me be annoying here for a minute. So let's say I have blackberry. Here's blackberry, okay? And then we recently introduced a pastel called heather. No, it's a light purple. So technically these would not be next to each other on the color wheel. Technically heather would be in the same category as the purple, as the blackberry. So technically they're actually, because really heather's probably blackberry plus some white, right? So it's really kind of a shade of purple. So technically it would go this direction, but I don't want to overcomplicate it for you guys. But anywho, so this might help you as you choose colors, okay? The other thing that I think gets ignored in this handout is these sections. So here I've taken my colors and I have listed different, the classic color schemes, like analogous, which means what? What does analogous mean? Neighbors. I've listed neighbors on the color wheel for you to play with. And this is your homework for today. I would love for you to get some watercolor paper. I'm going to do it in a white journal. So, and I think it would be really smart, you guys, actually, to have a little journal that you you dedicate as your color experimentation journal. Okay, do not put any weird impositions on yourself like this has to be finished pages. And eventually you can make this into finished pages, but right now I am gonna just play with the color. You find the charts on rangerink.com, scroll down all the way to a heading called Organize Your Ranger Products, and then you find the where the Dina Wakely heading, and then under the paint it's going to have a little link and it will say Color Confidence. It's a PDF on Ranger's website. Is that clear to everybody? Does this wheel your spray paint? So my spray paints are my exact colors. So, you know, I've got a lime gloss spray. So the lime gloss spray is going to be the same as the lime color here. Caroline, would you do me a favor? Would you type in the comments where to get that handout, because so that people can see it while I keep going, or somebody. I'm gonna hit up people that I know and put you to work. All right, so let's this is my homework. I want you to take these color schemes and I want you to put these in practice on the pages. Now, if let's say you don't have every single one of Dina Wakely colors, that's fine. You can order them, or find something approximately close. Right? Use what you've got, and when you run out, buy my paint. It's freaking awesome. Okay, so we're gonna start with Blackberry, Lapis, Ocean, thank you, Sue. Thank you, Caroline. And Sky. So these are analogous because they are neighbors on that color wheel. I'm going to take my big new brush that I left in the water all night, of course, as one does. And I'm just going to, I wet the brush, and I'm just going to pull it down straight so the colors blend a little bit. Wipe the brush off on my apron. And doing these exercises is really going to help you figure out what your personal color story was. I saw that Caprice mentioned that, you know, she always chooses the same palette. Well, I don't think that's a bad thing. I feel like if, you know, maybe that's your color story, and, you know, maybe you're sick of it. So if you want, you can make a conscious effort to work with different colors, and this will help a lot. But for the most part, I say embrace the colors you like. I mean, if Picasso can use blue for 3 years and rose for 7 years, then we can do what we want, right? Okay, so that's one of the color schemes. Let's do that. And I'm just going to, what am I going to do? I'm going to turn the pages as I go. So this is some of my white collage tissue. I'm just going to put it in there so that I end up with a cool tissue background, and so I can keep turning the page. All right, so let's see, Peacock. And I won't do every single one. I'm just going to do 2 of these. Peacock, turquoise. Oh. So I have learned that, okay, here's why my paint, or why my scissors are always covered in paint. Once you can't get any paint out of the tubes, go ahead and cut them open. There's so much paint left in there, you guys. So much. So you can totally use that until it's gone. Use every last square bit of paint. And then people will say to me, well, what do you do with that once you've cut it open? Well, usually I use the whole thing. And if I don't use the whole thing, I just throw it in a Ziploc bag. Or more likely, I forget that I've cut it open, leave it on my desk, and it gets hard. I mean, you can choose which scenario you think is most correct. All right. So then I'm going to, let me rewind before I got distracted by cutting that open. I've learned that I do like a cool toned background, like a blue, purple, or pink background. I don't really love a warm, well, that's not true. My color story is to start with blues, right? That just tends to be what I like. So that's fine. I've embraced it. Yeah, you can totally, I'm adding, you can totally cut up your expensive foundation and lotion. And all right, so I added a little water just to spread that across the page so it's not quite so Benetton stripes, okay? So there's another analogous color. And the wonderful thing about analogous backgrounds, ooh, look at this tissue, haha, bonus for later. The wonderful thing about analogous backgrounds is that they are safe. They're so safe, they're gonna work because the colors that are analogous, when they mix, they make other nice colors, okay? I have not really, Susan, explained cool and warm. Diane is really good at explaining cool and warm, and she has a video. Here's why cool and warm is complicated for me. So one side of the color wheel can traditionally be determined cool, okay? So probably here, this top half, and the other side can traditionally be determined warm. However, that what complicates that is that, like my red here, which is traditionally a warm color, this is actually a cool red, meaning there's blue in this red. This Sedona of mine is a warm red. So individual colors can have warmth and coolness as well. So that's why it's a little complicated, but Diane explains her warm and cool system really, really well. So I totally recommend, I saw she posted it recently even. I recommend her color video. It's really good. Okay. So like I said, analogous colors are safe, but they're a great beginning. They're a great beginning. So most backgrounds that I do, I start analogous in one way, shape, or form. It's just so much easier for me to have an easy foundation to build on. But that said, this is, is pleasing to the eye, but it's so very safe. And I want a little more interest, which is why when you come back to this handout, if you flip over to analogous with complement, this is how I make 99% of my artwork, okay? This is all my secrets on a page. Basically, I start analogous, and then I throw in one color or more, but usually one, that is we call it the pop, right? We call it the visual interest. So, for example, this color scheme here, peacock, ocean, and sky, similar to what I just did, except I used a little bit of green as well. The color pop is in this, well, actually not necessarily. Let me circle where the color pops are. The color pops are going to be the opposite. So here's the deal. Here, let me just explain this better. I'm not explaining it very well. So if this was my analogous, right? I believe we used ocean. Gosh, I already don't remember. Ocean. No, we used peacock, turquoise, evergreen, and marine here, okay? Now, I can come back to my color wheel, and the opposite of blue-green is red-orange. And the opposite of green is red or pink. And yeah, okay? So the bottom line is, one of these colors, if you see here, see how when I add those nearby, those are what's going to make this background interesting. Don't you think? Something red or something orange red or something pink that's what's going to pop against this very greenish bluish background. And I could probably even veer a little towards orange because there's enough blue there, but here's where the pitfall comes. This is wet. I don't let anything dry. So if I come in here with a red paint on my brush and brush over this green, it's going to turn muddy and pukey, which is why this collage box of mine where I have all of my different collage papers comes in so handy, and the Collage Collective. That's when I start digging through the Collage Collective to find something red or pink that's going to pop. So grab it. I'm going to grab the Collage Collective. Now I know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for red or pink or Sedona, and I'm going to shop the Collage Collective by color. So I don't look, ooh, hello. I don't look at the pattern. I shop for color. Now see this here? Isn't that going to make it pop? Heck yes. So then one, you know, and here's another little tip. So my background goes down with my analogous colors. And then my complementary color, my pop color, goes on in smaller amounts. I will never put equal amounts of pop color. There's a theory that I talk about in that Art Journal Freedom book that I mentioned. It's called the gallon, quart, pint, ounce theory. So the colors that you start with, you put a gallon of them on. Then the next color that you add, you put a quart. And then the next color that you add, you put a pint. And then the last color, you put an ounce. Okay? But can you see how this now is giving us a lot of visual interest because of this? It is analogous, and then I've chosen one of the complements of one of those analogous colors in the background to give it a visual pop, right? So let's go back to this one. Look, I've got cool painted tissue to stamp on later. Sweet! Okay, so quiz. What is the opposite of the purple? Yeah, less is more. I have quite a lag before I see your comments, so I have to just pause before that. Yep. Yellow is the opposite. Yecko. That's right, Kay. Yecko. The opposite of purple is yellow. Okay. So that I could use some yellow. What's the opposite of blue? Somebody said it. Orange. What's the opposite of turquoise? It's actually red-orange. So red-orange is the opposite of turquoise. I don't truly have a true red-orange, but I could mix one, right? So these are what's going to give me my pop. And what's interesting to me about when I start shopping for my pop color is sometimes I like one better than others. And it probably depends on the quantity of what's in my background. So let's see. I'm digging the yellow today, you guys. I'm digging the yellow. So let me grab my Collage Collective. That piece on the cover right there would be perfect. Let me shop it for some yellow. La, la, la. I kind of dig that they have yellow in them. Yellow and orange. La, 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 la. I think I don't mind that. Here's why I don't think it's perfect. Too much green. Yeah, sports teams. So sports teams are how I try to get people to remember opposites. So purple and yellow, like you said, Vikings or the LA Lakers are complementary. Blue and orange, so like the Florida Gators or the Denver Broncos are opposites. And then Christmas, green and red. Okay, but of course it's a little more complicated than that, but that will help you remember the main ones. This doesn't work for me because there's too much green. I feel like that one will work great here though, don't you think? There's so much green in that face that the yellow is being overpowered that I think it might be okay on this page. And this one needs something more yellow, I would say. Much better. And your pop can be your focal point. But you got to put it near your focal point, because the minute you add that color contrast, that is the first place your eyeballs are going to look. So I can't put my color pop here and then put my focal point up here. Visually, it's going to seem incredibly disjointed. Remember that whole principle of overlap, overlap, overlap. So I made this yesterday, this collage, but I'm going to pull it apart because I want it for this. Oh, Dina, Dina, Dina. Okay, so I think I might, see how this has some orange in it as well? All right, I'm gonna commit ultra thick gel. I put the gel on thick with my finger. You can be civilized and use a brush. The only thing about using a brush is then you have to wash the brush. We all have established that I have issues with washing things. Okay, so this yellow serves to pull your eye across that purple contrast to my focal point that also has some orange. And then it's, you know, this black footprint is also helping us stop and look. And so this is how I use color. So this handout has a bunch of different options for you to try. So wouldn't it be awesome? Get a journal and try all of them. Have yourself create pages with all of these different combinations, and you'll learn what you like and what you don't like. You'll learn what is you and what isn't you. And Caprice, for if you're trying to so she has several stiff brushes, recommend the finger technique. Me too. Oh, thank you, Michelle Light. That's very sweet. Hi Michelle Light's husband. Anywho, I think that would just be fun. Now, if you flip the page after you see, you know, play with analogous with complement, and there's 2 pages of that, by the way. 2 pages of different combinations, and this is just a few of the possible combinations. There are way, way, way more possibilities than what I've given you here. I've just listed some, just listed a few. So complements are, like I said earlier, they are different countries. They are opposites on the color wheel. So I've given you, from my line, what I consider to be opposites. Tangerine and lapis, evergreen and ruby, magenta and lime. Okay, so you can keep that in mind, that those are opposites. And then near complements are opposites and then over a pie wedge. So instead of blue and orange, we've got blue and yellow. And a lot of sports teams are also near complementary colors. So University of Michigan, right? So this helps as well. Ruby and turquoise. I always used to tell people in my old house that I sold. I painted my downstairs bathroom walls turquoise, and then I had a red rug, red art on the wall, and a red and white striped shower curtain. And my husband was hilarious. He's like, "Oh my gosh, it's so bright in there." He said, "When I walk in, I have to close my eyes." And I'm like, "Well, pee with your eyes shut, just hit the bowl," because I loved it. It was so happy. It was so, I don't know, turquoise and red is one of my absolute favorite combinations. Purple and orange, peacock and magenta. And so, color theory can be so complicated, but for me, it's simple because I do neighborly backgrounds, analogous backgrounds, plus a complement somewhere. And I'm going to flip through one of my journals to show you how I've done this all over and over and over. So I do want to mention one more thing, which is triads. So triads are equidistant on the color wheel, meaning blue, red, and yellow, the 3 primary colors, are 4 pie wedges across. Okay, so blue, if I count over 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, I hit red. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, I hit yellow. So that means you're drawing a triangle on the color wheel, and that's a triad. Okay, so that means, let's say I start with blue, violet. Count over 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, red, orange. 1, 2, 3, 4, yellow, green. Those are a triad. Now triads look pretty good together. Okay, so for example, blackberry, lime, and tangerine, doesn't that look like Halloween? The reason why Halloween colors, purple and lime and tangerine, they look so good at Halloween time is because they're a triad, right? That is Target at Halloween right there. So those colors look great. Peacock, cheddar, and eggplant. So those are just lovely. They're lovely combinations together. Here's where you roll into problems. Okay, let me demo it. So let's do primary triad. Well, as primary as I can get, because my colors, again, this isn't a true red. It is a blue red. So mixing colors is complicated because colors will have undertones that you may not know about, and those undertones will play a part in the finished mixing. And I'll mix a little bit, but for the most part, I'm too lazy to mix a lot of color. You have to start with true hues and blah blah blah. And no thanks. All right. Anywho, all right. So these three colors, blue, red, yellow, and blue, they're and any other triad from the color wheel, they make a really nice color scheme. Here's where you get into trouble. Blue and red together, what color do they make? So when blue and red mix, that's a very pretty plum. They make purple, right? When blue and red mix, they make purple. Now what do purple and yellow make? Do you remember? Purple and yellow make brown, right? Purple and yellow make brown. So I didn't really clean my brush very well. And do you see how I'm getting brown in my yellow category? See that? So I guess that's where to be careful when you're using a triad, is that, yeah, they make mud. So two of the colors from a triad, well, actually, and the colors from a triad, two of them will mix and they'll create the opposite for the other color in that triad, right? So you just need to be aware of that. When I was making those crazy backgrounds the other day, I got into some... The reason why this looks fairly muddy here is I ended up with a triad. I started with a triad and then I ended up with a little bit of mud. Now, if you end up, and here I used opposites. What do I have? A little bit of mud. Now, a little bit of mud doesn't bug me. And you might be pro mud. I don't know. You might be in the pro mud club. But for the most part, I do try to avoid it. And a little bit doesn't bug me, but a lot of it does bug me. And it especially bugs me when it gets out of control, which is not my favorite. So we all have our color pet peeves, right? This is a pretty color combo though, isn't it? It's very autumn to me, this one right here, because that created a really pretty plum when I mixed those two colors together. I will say though, when all three triads mix, you make a really pretty brown, because that's how you start mixing skin tone. I learned this from Katie Kendrick. I took a 2-day Katie Kendrick class once, and she taught us how she mixes face tones, and she starts with triads. She starts with two different reds, a light and a dark yellow, and a light and a dark blue, and she mixes controlled quantities of them to create an absolutely beautiful dark skin tone. It's really stunning. And then you can lighten up or darken that skin tone based on how light or dark you want the skin to be. You cannot flip open a paint tube and have skin, because there are too many skins in this world. And so an easy way to think about it is you need 4 parts yellow for skin tone. You need 4 parts yellow, 1 part red, and 1 part blue. And that makes a really nice brown to start skin tones with. And if you mix my colors, this is about as dark as you're going to get a skin tone with my colors, because of the undertones in my colors. If you would like it darker, you need to start with darker source colors. You start a darker red, a darker blue, and a darker yellow, if that makes any sense at all. I know that's a pretty color, isn't it? All right, so let me grab my journal. And page through. I'm just going back to see if there's no way I can scroll back to every comment. So if you need to ask again, will you let me know? I'm going to just move this. All right, let's page through. Let's page through this journal. Yeah, that is a good brown. So triads make a lovely brown. Whenever you mix a triad, it is a nice brown. So just keep that in mind. If you ever think, oh, I would like a brown neutral, you can mix a triad. Skin again. Laura, skin is complicated, but for the most part, 1 part blue, 1 part red, and 4 parts yellow, and then mix it and see what brown you get. You need mostly yellow though. Only, and if you mix it and it's very purple, you need to add more yellow. If you mix it and it's very green, you need to add more red, okay? I've had people in class mix skin tone for like 30 minutes. Robin, at the very end, I will say where to find the color chart again. It's on Ranger Inc.'s website. Okay, so practical application in journals. So, and again, all of this can be broken with, in the end, who decides? You do what you want, right? You do what you want. So this has blue and purple analogous background. There's a little yellow in this tag, so I got a little pop happening there. A little turquoise or a peacock and yellow happening here. This one has some red and green. I don't know if that's showing up very well. You'll see a lot of blue and orange in my work because I love blue and orange. My front room is blue and orange. I don't know if you guys have noticed it when I've shown you the artwork in my house. I used to have a really orange rug too, but it kind of got worn out. But I love navy and orange together. Oh, just my fave. We've got purple in the background. I've got yellow and orange squares, and I've got yellow drip coming down the face. So there's my color pop. This is kind of a hot mess. That ended up just being a drying over a mess, so I got some blue and orange in there, I guess. Here is a near complement, this one. So I've got a purple and a green. That's a near complement. The scribble sticks work great on the denim. We'll do ideas for denim pages on another day. Here I have, instead of green and pink, I've got some blue and orange because I got blue scribble stick here and orange scribble stick here happening. More blue and orange. Blue and orange. Are you sensing a theme? Yeah, navy and rust were the colors for decor in the 70s. I've got blue and orange here. I wonder if I've ever done a journal without so much blue and orange. Turquoise and Sedona. So, it's not a hard and fast rule. It's definitely a general rule. But because our brains crave those color contrasts, when you're needing a little bit of something, then that little color pop is what's going to give you that little something. Anybody recognize this? This is the original for one of the face stamps from a few sets ago. That's the original drawing I did. Turquoise and orange. Shocker! I don't know if it's because I live in Arizona. I'm not sure why I love it so much. Yellow and... This is cheddar and eggplant. Oh my gosh. If you guys want one of the best color combos of all time, I'll show it to you here in just a second. Eggplant and Sedona. I know it seems like they won't go, but they do, because eggplant is a warm purple and Sedona is a warm red, and together they're magic with a little swipe of peacock for a pop. Oh my gosh, you guys, you're just gonna want to cry. It's so glorious. I think we did this in class in demo the other day, right? Pink and green. That is a hot mess. Do I care? No, I don't. This is triadic. La, la, la. Okay, get the idea, right? compliments or near compliments in a lot of what I do. Because I crave that visual contrast. I really, really crave it. It's like this one doesn't really have a visual contrast at this point. If I put something cheddar or yellow on that, that would give me just a tad of contrast. If I glued a little, it needs to be brighter than that, but if I glued a little yellow heart right there, that would work, right? All right, let me show you. Oh, and that girl, by the way, is one of the tissues. One of the tissue faces. So if you have these, that is that girl right there. Just cut in half, used partially. So, let me show you. What did I say I was going to show you? I'm going to show you Sedona and eggplant, my warm purple. Gonna knock my water bottle off. And let's start with those two. That is a lot of paint, Dina Wakely. Why I did that, I don't know. I'm just gonna take some off. I'm gonna use a wet brush. I'm using a wet brush because I didn't gesso these pages. So I would really struggle to get paint moving around on ungessoed pages without some water. Look at that combo. Do you just not want to snog that? I mean, that is the coolest combo. And it's not one you would have ever thought of. That is Sedona and eggplant. It just makes me so happy. Let's add a little cheddar to make it better. And then let's add a little peacock for kicks. I can't believe how much I'm singing. I'm normally not so singing in the morning. So a little cheddar. Cheddar will just warm things up. It's pretty, this is, a warm background as it is, but a little cheddar. Peacock is going to be the contrast, right? I'll show you how I get away with sometimes putting the same colors in the same wet layers. Here's how. Put the pop color on really thick and don't stir it around a lot. Otherwise mud will occur. So now I just need to let that dry exactly as it is. So see how that gives just a real strong pop. You guys are gonna love this brush. Cannot wait for you to have it. I'm just gonna, where it's white, I'm gonna dissolve the peacock, but where it is purple and Sedona, I'm not gonna dissolve the peacock. Isn't that pretty? Don't you love it? I love it. All right, questions. I'm happy to clarify. Let me explain again where to find the color confidence chart. Go to rangerink.com. Be prepared to spend a whole day down this wormhole. Because you're going to be like, ooh, I have distress inks. I need to print out that. Ooh, I've got dilutions. I need to print out that. There's all kinds of resources under Organize Your Products heading. It's at the very bottom of Ranger's homepage. So scroll down to the very bottom, click on Organize Your Ranger Products, and then you will see swatch charts and all kinds of things that you can use to organize, labels, all kinds of stuff. So under my paint section of that, you will find the color confidence handout. And it is a PDF that you can download. You can save it to your computer. You can save it to your phone. The lady that taught the skin tone, well, it wasn't a skin tone class. It was her weekend. Her name is Katie Kendrick. She's one of the OG mixed media people. I hope to bring out more colors. Hope to. You're not to forget that cut open turquoise. True. Let's add some. La, la, la. There, I added some to that. So what I'll do when I cut that's gonna take a little while to dry. Can you see how thick I'm wiping those colors on so they don't muddy up on me? So what I'll do now is I'll grab another journal. I'm going through journals like crazy, you guys. I have a lot, but I'm a little worried that I don't know. If self-isolating takes too long, I may just end up having to place an order for myself. So I will wipe my colors on tons of backgrounds. This is why I never have to start and create backgrounds from scratch. I'm almost always wiping some sort of paint on there. And you know, one of my mottos is backgrounds don't matter. Everybody agonizes over backgrounds. I think backgrounds are so stinking boring. I want to get to the meat. I want to get to the fun bits. So all of this will end up somewhere. Better let that dry, eh? This is typical Dina. Painting too much. I'm gonna roll that up. I'm gonna clip it with one of my clips. Oops. So I always have one of my clips sitting on my water, my paint water. And I'll just keep grabbing whatever journals are nearby to use my excess. All right. Any other questions that I can answer? La, 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 la. And then people will be like, well, you have what, all your backgrounds are the same color. Yeah, so what? Who cares? But I highly recommend starting yourself a little journal, working through the color schemes and the color confidence handout, seeing what you learn about yourself and about color as by doing. Make some discoveries. I mean, you're just making backgrounds, right? Thanks for the 24-hour Saturday. I'm not sure what you mean, but you're welcome. Okay. Last chance for questions. Let's put some heather on there. Yeah. It's like in Jaws when he goes, "We're gonna need a bigger boat." This must be one of the older paints before they had the wrong ingredient in it. And that right there was a 2-minute demo on how Dina makes backgrounds. So then I'll prop this up like this on the floor, let that dry. I'll bring this one back because it's just so pretty. It's too pretty to not have on the floor. Jill, the last time I changed my water. Yeah. A demo for just focal points. So, we kind of have done that a little bit. Have you gone back, Victoria, and watched the other demos that are in the archive? We did watch the critique video and the collage video. Can you put the links up that I spoke about? What links did I speak about? You mean the color confidence? I mean, yeah, I can put that up for sure. Am I sleeping better? I'm not really, Marilyn. I'm kind of in the grief stage of that stupid CPAP, thinking I have to spend the rest of my life going to bed like Darth Vader. I don't know, it just bugs me. I'm in the grief phase of it. It's just not my favorite. But I do feel like I'm breathing better, and I'm less tired. But I wake up, I don't know. Anyway, you don't need to hear my complaints. Placing in size. So Victoria, if you can watch the collage, you're just confused about placing in size. Did you watch the collage one, Victoria? You have a CPAP, it takes 6 months. Well, that's good to know because I've just had it for a week. So it does have a steep learning curve. And then everybody says they can't live without it. So, yeah. Yes, my brushes go in the same water. And then I forget about it and leave them there for a day or two, or I go on a trip and leave it. So Diane went live last night. She's going to do a really cool follow along with her dialogue in April. And the first 2 videos are already up. So if you go to her Dilutions page, you know, my CPAP is quiet. My CPAP makes no noise unless I happen to take the mask off. So it's really, really quiet. Yeah, Fran, that's what people say, that one day I won't be able to sleep without it. So the other thing that I'm in grief over a little bit is it really sucks that I have to bring it with me traveling. Ugh. It's depressing. Victoria, go back and watch the collage video, and then if you could write down specific questions for me, I am very happy to review some of that stuff. We can totally do a review, Victoria. That's a good idea. Would I add a focal point or leave this as abstract? Laura, the answer is yes. I don't know. Sometimes I like them abstract. This one probably would work as an abstract background. Yeah, I know it's a carry-on. I see everybody have one. I mean, I know. It's just depressing. This brush is my new 2-inch, or new 2, is it 2 inches? It's a size 2 flat. How long before our CPAP is covered in paint? Well, luckily it's not in the studio, but no promises. No promises. Thank you, Caprice. I'm glad I helped. Thank you guys for always joining in and sharing. Please remember to hashtag. So hashtag Ranger Inc., RANGERINK, when you post your work on Instagram and Facebook. Hashtag Dina Wakley Media. A lot of you have been doing that, and it has been amazing. So much cool art has been coming across my feed. It's really hard not to just be on my phone all day watching the amazing stuff that you're creating. So, for sure, keep it up, okay? Hashtag. Thanks, you guys. Great having you here. Support your local store.